Andrew Yang and the Forward Party has finally arrived. Remember, everybody was talking about Andrew Yang is running for mayor of New York, and I was like, nah, not a good idea. When I was saying Andrew Yang should not be a Democrat, everybody looking at me like, nah, that's not a good idea. I was saying he should be a third party, and it shouldn't be left, it should be right, it should be forward. And I say, start the Forward Party. Everybody was like, nah, that's not a good idea. But here to tell you right now, Triple Cup Chuck been Yang Gang since day one of the original Yang Gang members. I even got videos and people that know me from all the way from when Andrew Yang first came out. I was doing videos about UBI good for gaming. Excuse me, but that's how passionate it is about that. When I heard that Andrew Yang all I need is a small possibility, and I try to unite the Yang Gang and put the gas back on there to get it started, because we need a third party. We don't want one, we need one. Now, Andrew Yang is making some good points, and I'm gonna play the video about some of the things that Andrew Yang is about to bring around the second time, because everybody said that he was ahead of his time when he was talking about UBI and $1,000 a month and how he'll be able to pay for it. Now, everybody in America, their eyes are open in 2020. You know, when they say 2020 clear vision, it opened everybody's eyes up. Now, UBI is a real possibility. People that didn't think that it was possible, now they know that it's possible. And I can tell you why they know that it's possible: because of Donald J. Trump. It might sound crazy, but when he was cutting those checks and people was like, oh, the government could actually do that, that just changed the whole dynamic. And when people starting to see all of these jobs that they was working from, and now they being able to work these remote jobs and make more money from home, don't have to worry about paying for no transportation, gas money every week, lunch money every week. You got all these different dynamics that you saving money on, and you still being able to do everything with your family. Come on, the game has changed. Now it's 2021. Andrew Yang is right on time with the policies that he was bringing, and now he to open up your eyes to realize that the future of the United States is not going to fall in no Democrat or Republican, because we all know this here. Look at Joe Biden. Let's be realistic. Look at Joe Biden. He's no better than Donald J. Trump. And when I said Joe Biden was no better than Trump, everybody used to get offended and look at me like I was crazy. I'm like, man, what Joe Biden gonna do for us? What's the difference between him and Donald Trump? Like, oh, Trump was doing this here, but Trump, the only thing different is he was just telling y'all exactly what he's doing. Joe Biden is throwing the rock and hiding his hands, right? A true politician, smooth. I don't want that, because you don't know exactly what's going on in the country, right? Some people like to be cuddled, not me. I want to know what's going on and why we actually doing the things that we doing. And when I seen Andrew Yang, when he first came out talking about he's a family man and the reasons why he doing it, that alone gave me an understanding of, okay, this person is genuine. He really want to do it. He's starting to become a politician a little bit, because, you know, the longer you into this, the more you start losing who you are, right? And I noticed he started noticing that. So what Andrew Yang had to really do was, when he went and ran for mayor of New York, he had to pull himself out and realize, okay, Joe Biden promised me he was going to do X, Y, and Z. And I realized it was a politician move, because he just going to deflect and not get nothing done, and instead of move for the rich people, right? Republicans do the same exact thing. So I don't look at them as no difference, right? I have people that's Republicans that have the same views as I have, but they just saying it from a different perspective, right? And when I hear from a different perspective, I know how to understand from, you know what I'm saying, different people got different ways and different mentalities. But me personally, my mentality is, excuse me, it's simple, right? Oh yeah, I'm DYing it up. Y'all can watch me, I'll be doing that as well too. But my mentality is simple. You know, I don't do it for me, I do this for we. So if I could bring something to the table, that means everybody can eat. That's what Andrew Yang is doing. I mean, I would throw my head in there for Tulsi, right? Tulsi Gabbard. I would have threw my hat in there with her. But when I seen Kamala Harris, she just don't. I mean, I know people that fans of her because they really, quote unquote, just because she a strong black woman that's making it and doing this here. But she has nobody that's of her same nationality, best interest in mind. Almost like how, you know, people did, you got to admit, with Barack Obama. some people that say, oh, well, he black, he a cool dude, he might, I can relate to him, so they just voted for him, not really knowing what his policies was, and really deep into the politics. But after that, it was the Trump era, and when the Trump era came, more people would start becoming more aware of what these policies are, how they really affect everybody, right? So now we in a situation where we can actually make a change, and the change is simple. We take all of this chaos that's going on, we put it in a whole overlook, and we see, okay, what ways that we could change our country, right? For an example, okay, I don't want to say the word, but y'all know what's going on with people got to wear masks, right? Now, what could kind of slow this down? Okay, we can't make people stay at home, but if we could try to encourage people to stay at home for a certain amount of time, like for 90 days, and then that will help give the immunity, because it don't have no way of transferring from person to person, right? We could have did a whole 90 days shut down everybody. They send boxes out, and they could slow the pandemic down, and then you could help other countries as well by showing initiative and seeing that this works, because other countries gonna follow the United States with when they see them, and it's actually, especially if it's working and it's out of politics, right? That don't have nothing to do with it. But with Andrew Yang's proposal before all this occurred was with the UBI. Now everybody right now will comfortably getting $1,000 a month, plus your expenses will still be being able to be paid. You have your essential workers, and then all of a sudden you notice the levels drop, right? It's gonna steady decline. You don't open up just yet. You got to give it a whole 90 days. The virus might stay in person for a week or two, but you still have essential workers that have to go out. They're still gonna have people that still spreading it. So you got to give it multiple times of just going through that same cycle, right? Our best bet would have been with UBI, would have been else too, like everybody with the healthcare, and took away the price tag. That means they could have pushed out the cure faster, right? They could have got it out there. And so people that's scared to take the shot, they wouldn't have to take the shot, because after 90 days of you sitting home, and then it having other people like right now is being able to take these vaccine shots, all of this here would have played a part right now where everybody was getting back to their usual, and that's where my DIY is going to be considered like getting back to my usual, right? But I'm gonna hop back on Andrew Yang and talking about the implementation before I play his video, because I got one. Matter of fact, I'm gonna cut right here, play his video, then run right back into it. Yeah, well, time out.
I know you heard about Andrew Yang and the Forward Party, and I'm here to tell you actually what it is. It's probably not what you've heard. What we're going to do is actually solve the problems that are literally driving us crazy. What am I talking about? Right now, we have this two-sided duopoly that's just clashing, and you may love one side more than the other, but you have to face facts that this system is not working. Unfortunately, the polarization is reaching record highs to a point where people can't be in the same room as family members. We're seeing literal violence erupt, and it's going to get worse, not better. We're getting more and more polarized, in large part because the incentives of our political system, our media, and social media all are driving us against each other and making us feel like other Americans are our mortal enemies. 22% of Americans used to cross party lines when it came to national elections. That's down to 7% today. People aren't really appealing to the middle as much, because that's not how you're going to win. You're going to win by appealing to the base. This has become a country where partisanship is the most acceptable, most commonplace form of prejudice. Now, people have been feeling these problems getting worse and worse over the last number of years, to the point where now 57% of Americans say they want a third party. 60% say that both parties are out of touch. Right now, people who say they're independents essentially outnumber registered Democrats or Republicans 2-1. Imagine if you were an entrepreneur and you arrived on a marketplace and there were two companies and more than 50% of people wanted a new alternative. Wouldn't you want to create that alternative? Now, why are we feeling this stuck? Again, Congress has a 28% national approval rating. What's the re-election rate for individual members of Congress? 92%. Think about that for a second. 3 out of 4 Americans don't like what Congress is doing, but more than 9 out of 10 are going to be set up to win re-election again and again. And the reason for that is we have structural incentives, and this is where the math comes in, where right now 83% of congressional districts are safely Democratic or safely Republican. So if you are a member of Congress, your big concern is not trying to win a general election. It's to win a primary and avoid getting challenged in the primary. You're not catering to the 51% of voters that you imagine you need. You're catering to the most extreme 10 to 20%, which is why we're pitted against each other, why you see politicians refusing to compromise, because they know if they do compromise, they're more likely to get challenged and lose their seat than if they stay on their party line and nothing gets done. So if you put reasonable people into this system of incentives, they'll actually become more unreasonable over time. This probably reminds you of America's political system. So how are we going to make this happen? For real. I could give an inspirational speech, but we know that would do absolutely nothing. That's political speak. I'm a problem solver, and if you want to solve the problem, here's how we do it. The Forward Party has some very straightforward tenets. Number one, open primaries and ranked choice voting so that you actually can have political dynamism and different points of view. We changed the primary system from the closed party primaries to open primaries and ranked choice voting. This would immediately make our political figures more rational because they'd have to cater to 51% of us rather than the most extreme 20% on either side. One state has already done this, Alaska, and there are 24 other states where you can do this with ballot initiatives. Universal basic income, human-centered economy, fact-based governance, modern and effective government, systems that actually work, but also grace and tolerance. We're not out to demonize or villainize anyone. We love our fellow Americans. What we have a problem with is a system that's going to turn us against each other. What we're in the midst of right now is one of the worst nightmares of our founding fathers. They hated political parties. There's nothing in the Constitution about any political party. And the duopoly would be their worst nightmare come to life, because what they would have seen is factions that just clash over and over again and are susceptible to bad leadership. If you look at democracies around the world, how many parties do they have? 5, 7, 8, 18. Then you'd have shifting coalitions, people would come together, need to get things done. And by the way, if one of the parties succumbed to bad leadership, you'd be like, well, we've got another 17. That's how you make a strong system that's actually responsive to the needs of our time. This duopoly is going to kill us. We can all tell. It's one of the reasons why so many people have checked out of politics. But what I'm asking is the people who are sick of it to come together and solve the problem with me, with us. That is the Forward Party. It's an inclusive movement. You can be a registered Democrat, Republican, Independent. Forward Democrats, welcome. Forward Republicans, welcome. Forward Independents. Let's get it done. And let's make it so that we can actually feel good about ourselves, our country, our family members, and our future. It's not going to fix itself. The system won't allow it. It's the system itself that needs to change, and we can change it together.
Okay, we back to what we was talking about. See, I told y'all, Andrew Yang have multiple plans. This time, he's seeing a bigger problem. I ain't gonna say a bigger problem, but he's seeing, ultimately, he's seeing an overall problem that need to be solved as well. Not just the UBI situation and robots taking over people's jobs. They got enough information out there where anybody gonna be able to find that and just stumble across UBI and know that's one of his policies, right? That's there. He don't really have to bang, bang, bang with the UBI no more. So I know they're going to have people that want to say, Andrew Yang, start back talking about UBI. It's already out there. All he got to do is mention it, and people know that he was one of the people that was one of the lead fronts of pushing for UBI, right? Already had a plan. He just got to mention it and just give a common courtesy to it, and then say, hey, look, these are the other situations now that we can focus on. That, and then he could bring up a lot of the other ones that was overlooked, because he had a lot of policies that was great, right? He had some of them that was overlooked. Then the one that he bringing out now is this whole dynamic of the Republican and Democrats, right? And being able to break that up. And once you be able to break that up, you can get more people to not just be owned by corporations and big corporations doing things. But I'm gonna run it back some more. Yeah, I must admit, I had to sit there and take a sip of my coffee and clear my throat. But at the same time, yeah, see the good sunlight. That's how we rolling. But look, check this out. When I was saying about with the whole thing about with Andrew Yang, if you're a part of the Yang Gang, y'all need to start sharing other Yang Gang members. That way, the information can get out there. If you want people to know about the UBI, that's where the Yang Gang is supposed to come into play. So if you know another Yang Gang member that's putting out Yang Gang videos, anytime you see one of my Yang Gang videos, put their Yang Gang video under there so they can watch another Yang Gang member talking about Yang Gang stuff. I can give a shout out to all the Yang Gang members, not just Patreons and people paying money to me, right? I'm looking at, okay, it's the bigger picture. So if you're a part of the Yang Gang, you see one of my videos, share it. If you see somebody else's Yang Gang video, you can share it under my video. I'm giving all of y'all a permission to just tag it like that. That's because I don't do this for me, I do this for we. So like, share, subscribe, holla at your boy. Hey, Yang Gang, we up. Back in here, get your cup. Let's do this.